All right, let's get into Diddy Trial Day 11. I didn't know I was going to spend that much time on battle rap, but y'all know where I come from, so it's easy. All right, Diddy Trial Day 11. Day 11. Did y'all see or hear about who took the stand? All right, quick recap. What you need to know after day 11 of Diddy's trial. That concludes our live. All right, today we heard from three witnesses, starting with LAPD officer Chris Ignacio and Fire Department officer Lance Jimenez. They were asked about separate incidents allegedly involving rapper Kid Cudi, who told the court last week his Porsche was set on fire in early 2012, a month after claiming Diddy broke into his Hollywood home. Okay. The court has also heard from the stylist Deontay Nash. So I'm gonna pull up some of the exhibits that now are public, and you'll see some of the officers that have responded to the call in regards to Kid Cudi's Porsche. All right, I'm gonna show that. Um, let's go through this quick recap. I do have a video to play as well. I got a bunch of stuff for Diddy. Give me a second, but let me go through these bullet points. LAPD officer Chris took the witness stand this morning. He was working in Hollywood in late 2011, and he answered a call about a possible break-in at Kid Cudi's house. He told the court he noticed a Cadillac Escalade directly in front of the rapper's home, which later was shown to be registered to Bad Boy Productions, Diddy's record label. Diddy, you were still parked there even when the cops showed up, allegedly? The fuck? Austin investigator Lance, is that the same Escalade that y'all hopped in to go spin on Suge and didn't find him at the burger spot? He be spinning in the dark SUVs, huh? Allegedly. Austin investigator Lance then took to the stand and recalled how he found a Molotov cocktail in Cudi's car after being dispatched to the rapper's home in January 2012. The trial then came to a dramatic pause when Jimenez revealed that some fingerprints lifted during the trespassing probe were destroyed. Hold on to that point, people, because some of that is tied into the mistrial. If we got to start doing the OJ glove shit, right? Why wouldn't a defense use it? So hold on to that one. Diddy's lawyer moved for a mistrial, accusing the prosecution of misconduct over implication that Combs may have destroyed fingerprint evidence. Judge Arun ruled that the testimony from the arson investigator would be subsequently be struck. All right, so they was able to get that testimony struck from the record. That always still kills me, though. You get it struck from the record, which means that in situations like appeals, it can't be used. In situations like sentencing, it can't be used. In situations like, I guess, well, I already said sentencing. That's going to cover all the different types of charges and stuff, right? But even plea deals and whatnot. But I always felt weird that the fact of a jury can hear something. Objection. All right, we'll strike that for the record. But the jury already heard it. They're humans. When they go back into deliberation, they already heard somebody say, yeah, and then he started slapping me and he told me if I don't do this, I won't get paid tomorrow. Objection. All right, scratch from the record the pay tomorrow part, because that could just be speculation. But the jury already heard it. And lawyers sometimes even do that on purpose. Sometimes they get close to even getting in trouble. Rephrase your words. You did it again. Stop doing that. Let me rephrase it this way. And they just keep doing it because they feel like I need the jury to hear this, even if I get in trouble. So I never fully felt like that was a big. I get it from the charges standpoint, appeal standpoint, plea standpoint, but the jury still is going to go make a decision off of what they heard and seen. All right. Later stylist Deontay Nash, a very close friend of Cassie, said Diddy would often call Cassie a bitch and a slut in his presence and tell her he would beat her ass. Yeah, he didn't treat her the best, right? Already speculated from all the shit that we've come to see at this point. He recalled a moment when an enraged Combs attacked Cassie and grabbed her by the hair, kicked her, and began to hit her pretty hard. So this is like what, the fifth attack that has already come up in this trial, fifth to sixth. How many of y'all was with me when I saw that hotel footage originally and said that ain't the first time? Can't be, allegedly. Impossible. Nash said Diddy threatened to release sex tapes of Cassie sleeping with other men and send them to her parents. So this is still stuff that's going against the consent. This is stuff of the forced, the coercion, the threats. Keep doing this type of job, keep setting off the freak offs, which are tied into sex trafficking charges, and you're forced to do it. Whether you come up here and grab immunity or not, you're forced, you're threatened. Okay. When Combs later came looking for Cassie, Nash said he threatened to go over to the balcony of her flat. Okay. Let's take a look real quick at those pictures I told y'all about. I don't know if y'all like me, but my mom was in the movie theaters. I was expecting to see some totally charred car, like totally burned down car, like we see on the side of the highway that somebody just used for a fucking for God knows what. It didn't end up like that, but this car is so drivable. All right, so this might be one of the agents that just testified for all we know. But yeah, we see agents here, police authorities here responding to the call. This is an exhibit that was filed. We got a picture of the door for whatever reason. I guess because maybe that's the door that was broken into. Okay. Picture of the front. Okay, here's the Porsche. Okay. Thank you for covering up the man's license plate. Appreciate it. Shit. All right, is the front view of the Porsche. Everything looks good from the outside, right? It's got a little old school Mercedes here. Okay. So this was it. It's a rag top. So somebody sliced the rag top, didn't break the window or nothing, sliced the rag top and threw it in the Molotov cocktail, allegedly like that. Okay. All right. And the damage we begin to see from the inside, you see the charring on the seat, right? The burn marks on the seat. Red interior is dope. Oh yeah, you got to redo all of that. You got to throw it out if you got red interior. Yeah, it's a wrap. For some people, they feel like this totally ruins the entire car. Get rid of the whole car, put it in auction. I ain't gonna lie. Now, at first, I was like, "Yo, they ain't really fucked the car up." Red interior, nah, it's done. It's done. It's done. I'm pretty sure that wasn't the goal, though. Let me ruin the red interior. The goal is probably to blow this motherfucker up. You see all the smoke on the windows, on the door. So did it fizzle out or some shit? Oh, look at this. You see the bottle right here. Yeah, so this is it really looks like just a 40 ounce, but it's the makings allegedly of a Molotov cocktail. But yeah, somebody threw a old English in there with some gas and a rag and said this will work. I wonder how it stopped. Because normally, here's the thing about Molotov cocktails, right? They're meant to be thrown and break so that the liquid inside breaks on shatter and expands everything and the fire just moves with it. Right? I don't want to act like an expert, but if you was just gonna do this, then just go ahead and get a tank of gas, pour it in, the slice from the top, and then drop a match in. So your bomb didn't work, dude. Allegedly. That was a closer look at it. That's what I'm saying. Like it's no broken glass or nothing. It didn't get a chance to break. So did the fire just go out on its own? Did the fire go out on its own? Burnt the seat up. Yeah, you ain't driving this. Oh, the roof got melted up pretty bad. It was hot in there. Definitely. Okay, you see how charred up the roof is, melting of the roof. Look at this. See it hanging down these strings? Yeah, that's like it was melting. That's that rag top. See the windows all smoked up. Okay. Well, it burned out in there pretty good. But once again, if somebody wants to rip out the entire interior, the car would be fine. All right. I wouldn't want it to happen to me, so it is what it is. Wait, what's that? What's this? What's this? What's this? A hat? What is that? What is that? All right, they got a lighter. They got a little drinking canister. Oh my god, yo, chat, don't make me walk away. Chat, did I not say a 40-ounce old English that somebody threw in there? I swear on my life, I swear on everything. Yo, that is a 40-ounce old English in the fucking evidence. Number one. Y'all remember Say Nas? That probably would have been my two guesses. The moment I see a 40 ounce, my mind goes to either good old OE or Say Nas. That was popular at the time. Those two. All right, we bagged that one. But all jokes aside, why do you even have the lighter? And how do you still have the lighter? Who leaves the lighter behind? But they're saying it doesn't have fingerprints on it, right? So where's the OJ glove? Fire extinguishers right here. Okay. Oh, so maybe somebody put it out. Maybe somebody got to it in time with the fire extinguishers. Okay. Oh, this might be accelerant. This might be some flammable fluid that was used. A little accelerant right there. Maybe. Okay. The good old OE. Let me get one of them OEs. All right. Was that not Medicine Society I just used? What's with the paint can? What's that about? What's that about? Kid Cudi is a bitch. Who's this? Lupe Fiasco. Kid Cudi is a bitch and continues to be a bitch. Ain't nobody finna bring up he used to work at the Bape store to diss his bitch ass for having a regular job before he was famous. Bitch with a cool job. This was from 2024. What's up with Lupe Fiasco and Kid Cudi right there? I don't remember. All right, we don't care about that though. We don't care about that. All right. So you got the investigators, the agent, people that responded from the the fire the firehouse side. You got the assistant that came up there again as well. It's still using a lot of Kid Cudi angles. So when I hear a lot with somebody's name that was already on the witness stand giving testimony and they continue to get used, that means that the prosecution feels like that is a big target. So we will continue to hear Cassie's name. You'll continue to hear Kid Cudi's name. The arson things, anything that's going to be tied to the arson, the kidnapping, the coercion, the forced labor, and once again the indirect ties of, yeah, this assistant was forced to go to Kid Cudi's house, and Diddy had a gun and all this type of stuff, and he threatened me already on my first day on the job, saying if I don't come or if I'm still associated with Suge, he might kill me. It's not just about Kid Cudi in that fucking car. It's about the tie-in elements that are going towards the RICO. So I told y'all, day 10 for me was the first day that I felt, oh, I see y'all starting to finally build some more RICO stuff. It's the tie-ins and the connecting of the dots that is now starting to happen here in week 3. And I'm finally seeing it. I'm finally seeing it. So, all right. The male sex worker, the guy, the Punisher, that also put out a book, he did an interview on CNN. I don't know if I don't know if he's one of those guys that could be called back, but I just feel like people doing these interviews in the midst of the trial is too fast from a engagement standpoint. Like, are you still in a position where defense can call you back or prosecution may want to call you back? Like, already, I get it. You're out there, you hustling. Your name is hot right now. You got a book deal that's on the shelves. Cool, but don't get your ass in trouble, you know? Or have the defense be able to see some shit that you said on CNN and come and say, oh, we need a mistrial behind him saying, changing the story on CNN now. Well, let's check it out. Let's see what he said.
Well, his stage name, The Punisher, to the jury, Sheree Hayes, is
Go get a water.
one of the few witnesses to give an uncensored look inside Diddy's freak-offs. In 2012, the exotic dancer allegedly received a call from a woman requesting a striptease for someone named Janet, aka Cassie Ventura, and her friends. Hayes says he believes Cassie found him through his getpunished.com website. And at their first meeting, Hayes said Cassie told him her and her husband liked to create a sexy scene, one that her husband would eventually come out to watch. And during that first encounter, Diddy allegedly gave mostly subtle directions. The compensation for that rendezvous, $2,000. Under cross-examination, Hayes testified that Cassie did not appear uncomfortable during their encounters. He, quote, did not get any cues that there was a discomfort with what was going on over the 8 to 12 interactions.
2,000. I thought we read paperwork of that first interaction. He showed up. He got 8 when he came in. He got 12 when he left. I thought we saw that. Well, whatever. I ain't counting his pockets, but
they all had. Sheree said, the Punisher Hayes joins me now, and he's also the author of In Search of Freezer Meat. He joins us now. Sheree, welcome. It's been a week since you testified. First of all, I'm just wondering.
that's one of the first things she said. I should introduce him. I had to show the book. I had to say the book's title.
What the reaction has been like in your life, knowing that this is such a high profile case, and here you are in the spotlight in this way.
Yeah, it's been like a whirlwind. A constant outreach from media outlets like this, and just friends and family, people from junior high school actually reaching
Really?
out just randomly, to check in and speak up. It's been very interesting, trying week.
You've reflected, I think, in some time about what your testimony said and what is like in that courtroom. Can you tell me a little bit what it was like to be on that stand a few feet away from Sean Diddy Combs, who you obviously had been around before in these sexual encounters, but he was more of a voyeur at those times. What was it like being in the room in the courtroom?
Yeah, so I have to say, I thought going into it, I was pretty prepared and confident. But literally, when I walked in the room, I got complete anxiety. Like my entire body was shaking. Whatever I envisioned or what I thought, because obviously you can't see anything, it was the tension and the magnitude of the moment was much, much deeper. So it was to some degree terrifying. Like I just could not. Whatever I envisioned, it was just so much more that I was not mentally prepared.
I mentioned that he was a voyeur during the sexual encounters. You were involved with Cassie Ventura directly in those rooms, as you've testified. Were you ever involved with Sean Diddy Combs? Did you two ever have an interaction in those sexual encounters?
No, actually, not one conversation, not even eye contact.
Really?
Yeah.
Did that surprise you?
Well,
once again, I swear on everything. I didn't watch this yet. Y'all almost got caught off guard. I didn't know what I was about to see. Swear on everything. I did not watch this yet. I thought he was gonna. Well, this was one time. Like, oh damn, son, confirmation. The Punisher said he took you down too, did he? Oh, it's over. It's over. But all jokes aside, him saying, not even really contact or seeing them, that shows the secrecy that Diddy was allegedly trying to do. Right. Cassie, you open the door with a wig, and my name is really John Black or Frank Black, Frank White, and I'm in the corner in the shadows or whatever. And that's the voyeur stuff, right? It adds even another layer to Diddy's freaky nature, because once you start hearing about the freak offs, if people are just like, hey, that's your sexual pleasure, and some people are just calling orgies freak offs, leave a man alone. But now we're hearing about shit where you're not even in the mix of it. You know what I'm saying? With all due respect, if I'm gonna be in an orgy, I'm fucking on shit. I'm fucking on somebody. Like, I'm not gonna be in an orgy and watching. Like, no. If you're gonna be there, it's either be involved or not, or get the fuck on, get the fuck out the room. Don't be in the orgy mix and sit in the corner jerking off. Like, but then again, that's some people's sexual preference. You know what I'm saying? You got the cucks of the world and all that. I mean no disrespect to any of y'all if y'all watch this podcast. I mean no disrespect. It's just I don't know. I'm just saying that just makes Diddy look a little bugged out to me.
Oh, it was told to me immediately, like on the first encounter, that I was instructed to not look at him, not acknowledge him, not have any interactions with.
By Cassie?
Yeah, by Cassie. So those were the instructions. So I did my best to follow them to the best of my ability, because initially I did not know who they were, and so I just saw it as an opportunity. I see this stunningly beautiful woman, and $2,000 for this type of interaction was kind of like a no-brainer in terms of it. So I wanted to follow the directions as much as possible. So there was literally no interaction. I didn't even look directly at him.
Because normally you are a dancer, and this was an interaction that would have resulted in sexual intercourse.
Exactly. So
okay.
Yeah. So this is nuance. It's not something that happens.
No, rewind that. Hold on.
You are a dancer, and this was an interaction that would have resulted in sexual.
I didn't even look directly at him.
Because normally you are a dancer, and this was an interaction that would have resulted in sexual intercourse.
Exactly. So
okay.
Yeah. So this is nuance.
She said normally you are a dancer, and this would have resulted in sex, and he said yes. So does that play good or bad for Diddy? Stuff like this. Let's say this was said in court. right? If he said something like this in court, does that play more to prosecution side of saying, yes, he just now is officially established as an all-out sex worker, not somebody that was just brought in and they got it rocking? Or does that play to Diddy's side of, this is what he's doing on his own? Like, stop trying to paint Diddy as this guy that went and grabbed people and turned them out, like turned Cassie out and turned all these people around him into doing this stuff amongst his enterprise. People were doing everything that he forced them to do. Like, no, you was a sex worker before we met you, nigga. You know? Did he get immunity? Did he just admit to being a prostitute?
Yeah, I don't think
Because
I
normally
tell
you are a dancer, and this was an interaction that would have resulted in sexual intercourse.
Exactly. So
Okay.
yeah, so this is nuance. It's not something that happens. I've done thousands of parties. This is the only time I was propositioned with something like this, and it was in such magnitude. Like in the Trump Hotel, it's like these huge suites, and you can tell this is a very high profile couple. So I just wanted to be as professional for the sex scenario as I would assume was required.
Did you ever travel outside of New York with them?
I did not.
When you were engaged in this encounter and intimate with Cassie Ventura, as you've said on the stand, you were asked about whether you had any notice or any idea how she felt about the interaction, whether she was consenting, whether she was uncomfortable in any way. You testified you did not feel as though she was uncomfortable at all. Can you explain?
Yeah, so there was always, like, before the sexual activity, there was always like downtime. So I would be greeted by Cassie, kind of put in a room, and we would have casual conversation.
About how long did that last?
10, 15 minutes, and it would be, consistent. How's work going? How's the parties? How's things? So it seemed like a very cordial, laid back situation. And I actually believed that the scenario was real. It was like a birthday. This was something they were doing as a couple that wasn't normal. I mean, that wasn't their norm. And I honestly thought I was the only person they were engaging with. So I had almost a belief that I was, wow, like, this is a cool thing. Like, I'm the person they're choosing for this kind of fetish type of environment. And
nothing seemed illegal to you or anything out of sorts?
Not even close. Like, I didn't even get any thought of anybody being like under the influence of any drugs or anything. It seems like a very, for the circumstance, everybody was just normally in their right state of mind. And this was just something they did for sexual pleasure.
You never saw any violence?
Nothing close.
Interestingly, you say you haven't seen any violence. You didn't see anyone under the influence of drugs, and you didn't have any idea that she was not consenting in some way. Why do you think you were called to testify?
I'm still trying to figure that out. It's after the fact.
Yeah, shout out to KK. I remember with the super says Capricorn Clark admitted that she set up the hotel rooms for free calls back in 2024. Diddy been doing this? Yeah, we broke that down on yesterday's stream, and I was of the opinion that Capricorn's testimony is top 3 as far as just being explosive and the amount of stuff that she brought to that stand. I think it's top 3 so far. And her testimony was wild. She was up there painting movies. She was very descriptive from the stuff that came out of court and was reported on that we actually got wind of. And yeah, she was Cassie's manager. She knew Diddy before Diddy knew Cassie. And that was a big thing to see that even before Cassie, it's being alleged that Diddy was into these freak offs and he had people that worked for him, allegedly, that would set him up. We had another assistant that testified that he was a cleanup guy. His job was to come in and make sure that also nothing ended up in the tabloids. There was nothing that the hotel workers could clean up the room and take pictures of and find some wild shit laying around, So yeah, KK, we on it. But yeah, good call out still. We on it.
I'm the only thing that I can kind of maybe think is, there was directions, right? It was in my testimony, it was clear that it was him, I guess, somewhat in control, not overbearingly. I mean, it was said to me, this scene we were creating was for her husband, AKA him. So the only thing I can say is maybe they were trying to show another element of control. And even though in my case it wasn't forceful or aggressive, but it's still another dynamic that maybe they were trying to establish.
Did you ever see cameras or anything being filmed?
I did not. The rooms were always extremely dim and dark, just candlelit. So it was, if there were cameras, it would have to be some sort of infrared, low light scenario because it was very dark in there.
Who paid you?
Always Cassie.
Did you ever see where the money came from?
I did not. Only one time, like I said in my testimony, we were actually engaging in sexual activity, and he
who paid you?
Threw a stack of $100 bills on the bed. that Cassie turned to him and asked him if everything was fine. And he just said, I'm enjoying it, in so many words. And I know that money was collected after the fact and given to me. So that would be the only scenario where I guess money came directly from him by way of, slamming it on the bed, like almost like how somebody would do at like at a strip club.
How, when you've reflected back on your testimony, do you think that your testimony was helpful to the prosecution or the defense in any way?
I mean, going into it, I always thought that because I saw no violence or any outward aggression, I always wondered if this was more beneficial to the defense. But I don't understand the angle of how they're trying to take my testimony and connect it to what they're trying to prove. It's very nuanced what constitutes a RICO and racketeering, and I don't know enough yet. I haven't heard enough to see if my testimony aligns with what they're trying to prove.
One thing that Cassie said on the stand was that she wanted Diddy to know that people were not disposable. And it almost sounded like she was talking collectively about everyone involved in these sexual encounters and these so-called freak-offs. Did you yourself ever feel as though you were either disposable or that you yourself were
You better not, nigga.
being trafficked in some way or prostituted?
No, not trafficked in some way or whatever. There was always pressure in terms of being disposable because obviously I'm there to create something like a scene, to create an environment. So at times where there was sexual pressure, because it's out of my norm, I did have a feeling of, okay, I'm one, scenario where if I don't perform the right way, if I don't create the right ambiance, then maybe I won't get called back. But that's the most pressure that I had. There was no indication of I really believe they were just a happy couple, and this was a sexual fetish that they had.
Do you ever see them be affectionate during these freak-offs together?
I did not. They would never actually interact in front of me. There was like a kind of a cue where if he needed to speak to her or have some sort of direction with her, he would just stand up and leave the room. And if she saw that, she would follow him out. They would be gone 5-10 minutes. Then she'll come back and we'll resume for the most part. But no interaction in front of me. No even conversation other than his directions, which were subtle: move the light, turn your body, maybe put more oil, those type of gestures in communication.
You said you wanted to, after your testimony, feel at peace with what you've said. Knowing what you do now about what Cassie Ventura has said about how she's felt about these freak-offs, what would you say to her if you could?
I would apologize. I would apologize because I had no idea, no indication what she was going through. And if, obviously my involvement kind of furthered her suffering, so just me knowing that as a man, being raised by a single mom and a grandma, just the thought of partaking in a scenario where a woman is possibly being abused is tough to hear. So, I would just apologize to her and, tell her that I was really remorseful and regret if I contributed to a bad experience for her.
Sheree Hayes, thank you so much for
Respect it.
Thank you for having me. I appreciate it.
Respect it. I respect that.
before-
I respect that apology. That was a very, very good line of questioning. Outstanding line of questioning. There was questions in there that could have gotten a little bit, whoa, that's a bombshell. Who paid you? Very, very good question. I mean, it's CNN, and this is a mega, mega, mega exclusive. So they did a great job. I take a genuine position from this guy. I really do. He doesn't come off like he's full of shit at all. He is promoting his damn book right now, but Jay says, so is it safe to say Diddy was like Arnold in the True Lies movie, sitting in the dark watching? So you're talking to the movie head of all movie heads from the battle rap space, right? No, Jay, because there wasn't the second guy there. It was Arnold set his own wife up. Yo, when you think about it, no freaky. If them terrorists never crashed through the door, right? If Arnold was able to continue to have her follow his instructions like that in the dark, and she's there bringing out her sexy that she always wanted to bring out, and then he comes out of the shadows and she's like, it's my fucking husband, and then they make love right there, that could be one of the most memorable. It's bugged out, but this woman really thought she was on a mission, and then you end up fucking your husband at the end of your mission. Gosh, that shit might be kind of dope. Like Arnold might have had a dope idea. He had a dope idea, not up there. So it's not the same because at the end of the day, it was your husband and there's nobody else. The Punisher was not in the room with them, Jay. So nah, not the same shit. But that's a good idea. Yo, fellas, if your woman has ever say, yo, we've been fucking for 15 years, man, I want to do something adventurous. There you go. Watch True Lies. Try that out. See if it works. Let me make sure I get a few women's cosigns. All right. And he said that's dope. I just want to stamp on the record. I put a woman's cosign up here. Now I can move on. All right, what was I saying? Yeah, the Punisher. He really y'all ladies is crazy. The Punisher really comes off like a genuine person. You know, despite the book selling thing, I believe his testimony. I believe the things that he's saying in this interview. I don't think that he's lying. He might be a little selective with his words as he has to. He has to protect himself, but I don't know. I take his stuff pretty much at face value from his vibe and his delivery and his type of answers. Um, you know, even the apology at the end. I respect it. I respect it. Because his testimony and his position is that I don't know nothing about this girl's being abused. Everything seems to be consensual. We got a little sigh or a little wince here and there during the session, but everything else seems that this is what this freaky couple wants to do. Shit, I want to deliver. I want to live up to it and keep getting the call back and getting paid, right? And then later on, you find out of all these accusations. And if you believe any of the accusations can possibly be true, then it's just like, oh shit, I was being used in the midst of this girl. She's up here crying and testifying. She felt forced to do all of this shit, and people pissing in her mouth, and she's being forced to have sex on her period, and she's being forced to have sex even when she has a urinary tract infection, and she couldn't get away, and all of this. She's scared of Diddy, and I was the guy that got called to some of that shit about 12 times. Damn, my bad, shorty. So I respect it. I really do. I really do respect the apology. All right. Let's get back to some further testimony, and let's bring this one up. When it comes to Capricorn, right? I still say once again, she's top 3 testimony to hit that trial so far. Her shit was explosive, and I think it could be very damaging. Diddy's former assistant Capricorn Clark says she told Cassie to leave Mogul, and she allegedly replied, "Jay-Z is taken. Who would I date?" Okay. Let's see the actual transcript. Get a little bit more context around it. Judge, Miss Clark, you are still under oath. All right. So this is Clark swearing back in. Combs' lawyer. We met in April 2024. You had a lawyer, Brian Freeman. Capricorn. Yes. Diddy's lawyer. You wanted to come back and work with Mr. Combs, right? Mr. Combs, right? Capricorn. We discussed it. Yes. Combs' lawyer. You saw Miss Garagos taking notes. Capricorn Clark. Yes. Diddy's lawyer. You said you didn't take Cassie was good for, or you said you didn't think Cassie was good for Mr. Combs. Why? CC, which is Capricorn. I just thought they were toxic. Okay, let's continue. All right. Question. Do you remember saying at that meeting that Cassie said to you that if she told you, if you told Cassie you should move away from him and date other people, right? Answer. Yes, yes. Question. And she said to you that Jay-Z was taken. Who would she date? Answer. True. She said that? She did. Okay. Diddy's lawyer. 1 second. Nothing else. Thanks, Judge. The court. All right. Thank you very much. You know why they use that? That's what do we keep saying? The defense has to really continue to stay on this side of consent and also the side of opportunity, taking the good with the bad. Those are like the 2 narratives that I think they've pushed so far and will remain 2 of the narratives that they have to stay with throughout the entire trial. Consent and people that say Diddy's a bad person, Diddy's a bad boss, Diddy's a shitty boyfriend, but people want to take the good with the bad. I'm gonna take the slaps in the face here and there and the drags down the hallways allegedly, and I'm still gonna exchange them for the albums, the celebrity, the swinging with the stars, the cars, the cribs, the jewelry, the lavish vacations, and all that. And we know there's a lot of people in this world that do so. Okay, you want to hear a small form example of that? Every year y'all start posting memes about tax season, right? What type of memes do y'all see with tax season? People trading off money for what? I'll leave it there. Okay. So what they're trying to paint there is Cassie as an opportunist. Not has no explanation, no context there of like, yeah, me and Jay-Z used to be real cool. I was always interested in him, the way that we would vibe and everything, but he's taken. No, it's just like you shouldn't be with Diddy. So who's the next powerful billionaire or super multimillionaire that maybe I could be with? Jay-Z's already taken. That's the context that they just try to put in front of the jurors. So the defense is going to stay there, and let's pick up on it when they take those little tricks in court. Let's pick up on it. Let's go to. I see somebody posting in the chat. I do have it here for y'all. The mistrial stuff. Let's bring that up. That's very important. That's very important. All right. Big screen. Here's why Diddy's lawyer asked for a mistrial and why the judge said no. The mistrial motion after prosecutors asked an arson investigator about destroyed fingerprint evidence related to the firebombing of Kid Cudi's car. So OJ angle of a glove and fingerprints being possibly played with. Defense attorneys for Sean Diddy Combs moved for a mistrial in the music mogul sex trafficking case, but were denied by the judge. Combs' team moved for a mistrial after prosecutors asked Los Angeles Fire Department arson investigator Lance Jimenez fingerprint evidence related to the bombing of Kid Cudi's car had been destroyed. Prosecutors also asked about who might have authorized the destruction. How did it get destroyed? I didn't see that yet on the internet. Who are they alleging that destroyed it, and how are they alleging that it got destroyed? On some old, let me get this up out of here, like a cover up by the agents on scene? I haven't seen that yet. Maybe it's in this article. We didn't get there. All right. The Bad Boy Records founder's lawyer argued that the line of questioning could potentially imply the idea that Combs could buy his way out of trouble. They were trying to plant this idea to the jurors that Mr. Combs authorized this. Defense attorney Alexandra Shapiro said, now she's good too. She don't play. Judge Arun denied the defense's motion, ruling that the questions were not prejudicial. Judge then instructed the jury not to consider questions about the lost fingerprints. Kid Cudi, whose real name, Scott Muscudi, testified last week that his car caught on fire in January 2012 after someone threw a Molotov cocktail into it. Want to keep up with the latest? No, we've seen that already. At the time, Muscudi had been dating Cassandra. We know that. Combs' chart. We know that. All right. So this fingerprints thing is the gist of it. I mean, when we watched the YSL trial, it felt like a mistrial attempt came up like 15 times. Brian Steele was going after mistrial after mistrial after mistrial after mistrial. So I don't know if this is just like, hey, we're going to keep throwing spaghetti on the wall, and if any of it sticks, we'll go with it. Fine. But what was really the expectations behind that line of questioning? I don't see it. I don't see that getting tossed. All right, somebody could say what the prosecution was trying to do was really embed in everybody's minds and within the court and the jury that he was trying to pay off people, but that there's no testimony, there's no evidence related to that. So mistrial. All right. I'm not a lawyer. If anything, I feel like if there's no evidence towards it, then Diddy's defense should just do a good job of getting that line of questioning up out of here. We can't do this whole hours behind the bombing of his car, the fire of his car. What's the evidence? Where's the fingerprints? Was the fingerprints destroyed? Y'all want to put this on me? Y'all want to say that I paid for this or whatever? Where's your proof? The only thing we heard so far is that a black Escalade was still there outside when the police responded. And we heard an Escalade continue to come up, but there's a lot of Escalades in this world. So what do you want me to do with that, people? I mean, low probability there as far as what we see for the mistrial actually landing. All right. This thing is going to completion. I'm sorry. Unless some crazy bogus shit happens that the prosecution super fucks up with, we going all the way to the end. All right. We going to the finish line with this. Don't expect no mistrial.